When the world was divided between the two superpowers in the early 1950s, the United States was sending the message that we will not only defeat you, we will wipe you off the face of the earth. And an ordinary bomber would not be enough to deliver that message. They needed a platform that could carry nuclear weapons, fly at high altitudes for long periods of time, and strike deep into enemy territory undetected. Boeing engineers developed the B-52 project plan in line with this goal. The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress was first proposed in 1948. The main objective was to develop a strategic bomber force capable of delivering nuclear weapons deep into the Soviet Union. When the first prototype of this gigantic bird took to the skies in 1952, it was unprecedented in the history of aviation. It was much more than an aircraft. With 8 jet engines, a wingspan of 56 meters, and a maximum takeoff weight of 220 tons, it was an engineering challenge. Stratofortress was a majestic name, a fortress in the upper atmosphere, not just a weapon, but an airborne fortress. With aerial refueling, its range was almost worldwide, with the possibility of hours of flight. Its endurance was limited by political rather than mechanical factors. It could fly not until it ran out of fuel, but until it was told to attack. But the B-52 was much more than a nuclear deterrent. From the 1960s onwards, especially during the Vietnam War, conventional bombing was very good at the time. It dropped tons of bombs over North Vietnam during operations such as Linebacker and Rolling Thunder. Its payload, adaptability, and tenacity gave it a significant impact on the battlefield, even if it could not break the sound barrier. To those on the ground, the B-52 was more than a cacophonous shadow. It was death on metal wings. More sophisticated models gradually replaced the first variations, the A, B, and C. The B-52H, which entered service in 1961, is still in use today, and most people don't believe it. The fuselage has remained faithfully the same despite numerous upgrades to the aircraft over the decades, including new radars, a modernized cockpit, and digitized weapon systems. The B-52 may seem like an outdated aircraft to many, but in reality, it is one of the few devices that change with each military paradigm. Its range of missions, from precision-guided strikes to conventional combat, from maritime patrols to nuclear deterrence, alone explains why it has not yet been retired. The B-52 Stratofortress not only has a tough exterior, but they have also technologized this aircraft, and this is what makes it so durable. It was born in the analog era of the 1950s when it first gained popularity, but by the 2020s it had emerged as a key component of digital warfare. Beneath the exterior lies an engineering marvel that holds the key. The B-52's 8 engines have arguably made it a famous aircraft much talked about around the world. Since the 1960s, the aircraft has been propelled by 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33P3 turbofan engines, installed in 4 twin-engine nacelles under the wings. However, these engines have become obsolete, less fuel-efficient, more costly to maintain, and environmentally unsustainable. For this reason, the Commercial Engine Replacement Program, CERP, was initiated by the U.S. Air Force. Rolls-Royce F-130 engines, which consume less fuel, run quieter, and have a longer range, will replace the outdated TF-33s under this program. More importantly, thanks to this engine upgrade, the B-52 has a life expectancy of up to 2050. Consider this: an aircraft born in 1952 could still be operational when it is 100 years old. Engines are only one aspect of the B-52's internal transformation. Analog displays were replaced by digital cockpits over time. Modern radar systems, satellite communication arrays, electronic warfare countermeasures, and sophisticated GPS navigation are features of current B-52H models. Weapons have also been updated. The B-52 can now launch JDAMs, Joint Direct Attack Munitions, AGM-86 ALCMs, air-launched cruise missiles, and even hypersonic systems capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Previously, it could only drop iron bombs. The B-52 has evolved from a bomber into a flying missile platform with next-generation munitions and network-centric warfare capabilities. What makes the B-52 unique is not only its technology, but its mission flexibility. It can surgically strike terrorist targets in the Middle East or fulfill nuclear deterrence missions. Vietnam, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and even ISIS operations are part of the operational history of this aircraft. For example, during Operation Enduring Freedom in 2001, B-52s completely zeroed in on Taliban targets hidden in the mountains of Afghanistan. The same aircraft dropped thousands of tons of bombs in the jungles of Vietnam in 1965. Amazingly, during the existence of the B-52, humanity has experienced the moon landing, the digital age, and the end and resumption of the Cold War. But the B-52 continues to fly. Entering the cockpit of a B-52 is like entering a machine from the distant past. As this aircraft is as much about tradition as technology, some analog components are still present, even in its modernized systems. For B-52 flight crews, it is more than just a mission. It is a home, a war partner, and a comrade. Operating a B-52 is much more complex than flying a normal aeroplane. A pilot, co-pilot, weapons officer, radar officer, and sometimes a defense systems officer make up a crew of 5 or 6. Each crew member must be overstaffed to keep this huge bird safely in the air, and this is imperative. For pilots, flying the B-52 is like putting a jumbo jet into combat mode. Despite its weight and large wings, it responds extremely well to precise control inputs. Its mechanical and hydraulic systems are conventional, but incredibly reliable. There is no fly-by-wire system. Some of the controls still have a nostalgic feel, but don't let that fool you. That nostalgia is matched by deadly accuracy. The duration of a B-52 mission is 12 hours, or up to 20 hours with the ability to refuel in the air. These flights require a great deal of mental and physical endurance. Although improved, the cockpit is not very spacious. The crew often wears oxygen masks, works in noisy environments, and is in constant communication. And the B-52 shows its humanity during those crowded, cacophonous hours. Pilots affectionately refer to it as the military base in the air or the flying fortress. Flying it is more than a mission. It is a part of history. Young pilots often cry on their first flight because they are so moved by the sound of the engines. Because this is not just an aeroplane, but a living legend. The fact that the B-52 will continue to fly for another 100 years is a feat of engineering as well as aviation history. It is the only jet aircraft in history to operate in 3 different centuries, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And the U.S. Air Force plans to keep it in service until the 2050s. How is this possible? The B-52 is being revitalized with new Rolls-Royce F-130 engines, glass cockpit improvements, modern communication systems, the integration of next-generation weapons. Since the changes will be so significant, the Air Force intends to rename it the B-52J, thus making it a brand new aircraft, and they have already started. The B-52 will soon undergo modifications to accommodate hypersonic weapons. This aircraft will be equipped with systems such as the AGM-5A RRW, which can reach speeds in excess of Mach 183. You should know that a platform first created in the 1950s to carry nuclear bombs to the Soviet Union could, by the 2030s, be able to hit targets around the world in a matter of minutes using hypersonic missiles. And this is a huge rate that you should definitely consider. This change is unprecedented in the history of engineering. Moreover, in a network-centric warfare doctrine, the B-52 could soon be used as an airborne command center, as well as a deterrent weapon. Thanks to real-time targeting, cross-platform data sharing, and satellite integration, it will not only attack, but also help shape the battlefield. The B-52 Stratofortress is not just a bomber. It is a representation of American military maneuver in the air and a timeless testament to engineering skill, deterrence, and endurance. Over the years, it has become both a weapon and a cultural icon. It has appeared on anti-war protest posters, in rock songs, and Hollywood films. In the film Dr. Strangelove, it is a sign of the nuclear end of the world. But it also represented freedom, perseverance, and unique engineering. The pilots affectionately called him Buff, big, ugly, fat fellow. Its distinctive shape and the strong bond between its pilots are recognized by this nickname because the Buff is a time-tested comrade. He has carried the strategic pulse of a nation through millions of miles, countless missions, and countless wars. Think about this. When the B-52 first took off, no one had visited the moon. Stalin was still alive, and computers were the size of a room. Now it has hypersonic weapons and AI-powered systems. A jet from the 20th century's analog age is now at the forefront of the 21st century's digital conflicts. Isn't this a time machine in disguise? As we approach the 2050s, the B-52 will still be in the sky and will want to show everyone not only its power, but also its vision, faith, endurance, and engineering, and it has already started to do so. The B-52 Stratofortress is much more than a bomber. It is a legend that has faced the past, shaped the present, and is ready to take on the future. However, one question remains. How long can an airplane that can still fight at 100 years old dominate the limitless skies? Will its wings get tired too? Then tell me, does the legend of an airplane come from its engineering or its history? More importantly, to find out whether Buff is dead or not, let's meet in the comments.